A few months ago, I picked up this 2013 Suzuki GSXR 600, and it came with a Monster fairing kit on it from the previous owner. The tank was still the OEM Suzuki Blue and didn't quite match the rest of the fairing kit. I didn't really care for the color scheme or the decals on the kit either, so I decided to get something new. Quick look at the Monster fairing kit. What stood out to me was the quality. The plastics are molded in the base color, in this case blue. They are thick. They feel and look very durable. It's like the type of plastic that would crease if bent too far. It wouldn't break or crack like something more brittle. All the decals have a few coats of clear coat over them. The plastics fit together very well, at times almost seamlessly. I did like this kit, but I hated the colors and the sponsors. I found this kit for sale on the Monster website. It's currently selling for $745. You can add a tank cover, an extra coat of clear for some extra cash. I am not sure which options my kit came with. Although there are a lot of companies that provide aftermarket fairings, the two that I kept hearing about while I was doing my research was Monster and Auctmarts. Since I already had a Monster kit on my bike, I decided to try Auctmarts. After about 3 weeks after ordering my kit from Auctmarts, I received it in the mail via USPS. I also ordered the tank cover, although there was no option for an extra coat of clear. The fairings look great. In my opinion, Auctmarts has better designs on their fairing kits, which was another big reason why I chose them. Also, as far as I know, they're the only company willing to blatantly commit copyright infringement by putting Suzuki logos all over everything. I really dig the GSXR badges on the side fairings. The first thing I noticed when I handled the plastics was they were lower quality when compared to the Monster fairings. They're also thinner and more brittle. They have decals over the flat black with no clear coat over them. I could see those falling off over time. The kit also came with a sheet of heat shielding, a windscreen, and an almost useless fastener kit. The Auctmarts fairing kit currently sells for $590. This is the particular set I ordered. Notice that the colors I received are somewhat different from the ones shown on the website. Auctmarts did email me with photos of the kit before they shipped it to make sure I was okay with it, which I was. I don't mind the color scheme. Just strange that it was that far off from the description. You'll also notice that these are not molded in their base color like the Monster fairings are. These are painted on the front side of the fairing only. On the back of every piece you can see the overspray. Not a big deal. Most pieces will be hidden, however. It's not molded like the Monster fairings. I also found some runs in the paint in a few places. It appears that they really slicked it in with a single coat of base coat and then a single coat of clear over. The runs were not too noticeable. Black pieces were base coat only with decals directly over, which kind of bugged me a little bit, but it is what it is. This just showing the quality of each piece up close. Some of the paint lines on the black here bled through a little bit, kind of a bad paint job, tape job. A tab on the tank cover unfortunately broke off during shipping. Can't really blame them too much for that. I used some quickset epoxy to reattach it. The break was pretty clean. Next, it was time to remove the old kit. Notice the 750 badges on a 600. LOL. Tail section is pretty easy to remove. It's just a bunch of screws, push pins. Don't forget to disconnect your blinkers before you remove everything. Just take your time. Don't force anything, or you end up with broken tabs on your fairings. Next, you'll want to swap over the hardware, like the rear seat lock, lights, and whatnot to your new fairing. Here I have the rear of the bike complete, and I'm just finishing up fitting the tank cover. After getting everything installed, I noticed the gap between the rear blinker cover and the adjacent piece. I tried everything I could, close that gap up, but I was unable to. It's not a big deal, just a little bit annoying. It's the exact same way on both sides. The tank cover fit pretty well. I used 3M double-sided tape, not included in the kit, in a few areas inside the cover to help make sure it didn't slide on the tank at all, as well as provide a little padding to ensure the cover doesn't scratch the tank. I also threw some black painter's tape around the bottom edge of the actual gas tank itself. Some of the old blue was showing through a gap. Now we have the entire front mask and associated electronics disconnected and removed. Here's a first look of the front mask assembly with the Auctmarts kit on. Backside of the assembly with Auctmarts kit on. A lot of screws in there. This was the last fitment issue I noted with the Auctmarts kit. Again, I tried everything to get these two pieces to fit together properly, but couldn't. It's noticeable up close, but after you get a few feet away from the bike, you can't really see it. The rest of the joints look really good. Now it's time to reassemble the front mask assembly. This whole process is mostly fitting up, seeing where and why you aren't fitting up correctly, removing, trimming, and then fitting up again. Most of what I had to do was hog out some fastener holes a little bit where paint had made the hole too small for the fastener, but it definitely is a time-intensive process. Now that the front mask is installed, it's time to hook up all the electronic connections. I hooked up the mirrors and blinkers first, and then came through and reran the front wiring harness. I had an aftermarket headlight, so it had its own ballast, so I had to find a place to fix that as well. Make sure when you run your cabling, you do it so that nothing snags through the entire range of your steering. This took me a while. There's a lot of stuff going on in there. Last up, you have the side fairings. Here you have several grommets, screws, and spacers to transfer over. Also be careful with the tabs that hold together the upper and lower sections. They can snap easily due to how you have to assemble them. I only broke one tab during the install, and it was the one on the side fairing. After installation, I ran the bike and found out that the right side fairing was touching the exhaust. The bike has a full Yoshimura exhaust, and the fact that it's aftermarket may have something to do with that. I used high temp RTV to attach automotive heat shielding to the right side fairing at points where it was contacting the exhaust. I then wrapped the exhaust at the contact points and used hose clamps with wing nuts on them, and I bent the wing nuts to the curve of the fairing to act as kind of a standoff between the exhaust and the fairing. Those wing nuts sit against the automotive heat shield on that fairing. Probably overkill, but whatever. Here's the finished product. I really like the way this kit looks. I was planning on painting the wheels black, but the white has kind of grown on me a little bit. What do you guys think? Let me know. So which one should you get? Well, I think in general Auctmarts sells much better looking fairing kits. The kits are also cheaper, on average about $200 cheaper. I had no issues with communication with them throughout the entire buying process or shipping. The fairings did feel inferior in quality compared to the Monster fairings. The fitment also was not as good. If I had to do this all over again, knowing what I know now, I would go with the Monster kit if I could find a kit that wasn't hideous. I think the increase in quality justifies paying the extra $200. Am I happy with my kit for how much it cost me and the way it looks? Also yes. If you're on the fence about which fairing to get, hopefully this video helped you out. Until next time.